important, and I think we need to move to that, but not tie it to these bills. Keep it as a separate track, but one that follows very closely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And with that, I see no other questions. We want to thank both of you for being here. We have Zachary Lessiter would like to come up next. Zachary, and welcome. Welcome to the Health Policy Committee, and we're looking forward to your testimony, okay?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep it brief because I'm due back in Kalamazoo at 5, and I follow the law. If my driver follows the laws enacted by this body, we're not going to make it by 5. I'm Zachary Lassiter, the chairman of the Kalamazoo Regional Interagency Consumer Committee, a group of disability advocates and self-advocates. Thank you for your time in this manner. I also want to thank our local Senator Tanya Schuetmaker, who's not here, had to leave because she had to be back in Kalamazoo, on her ongoing efforts to improve the lives of various people with disabilities. The Kalamazoo RIC is a group of disability self-advocates with a diverse group of members and level of care needs, diagnosis, age, economic, and ethnic background. The majority of us are disability self-advocates. I myself am on the autism spectrum with a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome. However, a significant portion of our members are not on the autism spectrum. One of our members is a parent who adopted a son who is on the autism spectrum. Her son is now 13 years old and has not verbally communicated one word. Her husband works for an intermediate school district in the special education department, and their insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, won't cover speech therapy. Yes, the insurance of a special education employee carries won't even cover something needed by a special education student. Early intervention therapy for children on the autism spectrum is a crucial need. I myself am lucky enough to be able to sit here and speak with you. Many of my peers, however, are not. I, however, do feel that if many of my peers were able to get early interventions needed, they too would be able to sit here and communicate with you as well. As a state with a struggling economy, the economic impact of this bill is undeniable. It will bring many well-educated people to the area with well-paying jobs. The Kalamazoo RIC as a group has voted to support SB 414, 415, and 981, and ask that you support and favor this bill as well. Our support, however, does include significant concerns about these bills that we as a disability self-advocates want to make you aware of. Our group of self-advocates are very concerned about the loose wording of what is determined to be treatment for autism. These bills use the terms such as current protocol and evidence-based. Who would define what these current protocols are? Who would define what is evidence-based? In the autism spectrum word alone, a paper published by former Dr. Andrew Wakefield in the Lancet in 1998 was not retracted until 12 years later in 2010, after it was determined that he literally made up numbers to support his claim that vaccines cause autism. However, the damage was done and public trust in vaccines was lowered. Many parents then believed, under the research of former Dr. Wakefield, that metals caused autism and sought chelation for their children, a very dangerous procedure that did result in deaths on the autism spectrum. My point is, I feel it should be better defined what treatments are the current protocols and evidence based on the law, and what bodies decide this. I'm concerned that insurance companies can form their own determination what current protocol is and what is not, thus making this legislation useless. There are also groups out there that prey on the hopes of parents being able to cure their children. These are very active, often holding large conferences every year to promote their miracle cures that actually have no benefit of autism. Have resulted in the deaths of autistic children. One of these groups even pays former Dr. Wakefield to speak for them at large conferences, though his research was retracted and him being barred from practicing medicine. With the current wording of these bills, these groups who claim to be based on scientific evidence and define their own protocols could force insurance companies and taxpayers to fund their miracle cures that have no benefit and risk the lives of autistic children. We also feel a $50,000 cap on yearly spending for treatment of children on the autism spectrum is too low for what is often needed for those of a higher level of need. As I say earlier, therapy-related costs alone go well over $50,000 cap. I didn't say that earlier, I actually retracted it in the interest of time. We feel that the needs of the autism spectrum, we feel that the needs of those on the autism spectrum after the age of 18 should be considered. Autism does not stop at age 18, and is long-term care of those in the autism spectrum as well as current adult population need to be considered. The Kalamazoo RIC is a group of people with diverse diagnoses, as I said earlier, and we feel that this bill heavily favors those on the autism spectrum versus other disabilities. The struggle for parents getting therapy and treatment is not unique to families and people affected by autism spectrum disorders. We feel this bill should be more inclusive of disabilities as a whole. We feel very bad that this bill heavily favors one disability over another. And by the way, just to clarify everything, autism is in the DSM, which is called the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. It's not in some separate book that's separate from bipolar and all that stuff. So I don't know where they get this idea that they're separate. In future legislative sessions, I hope that you take consideration of the needs of people affected by all disabilities, including those over the age of 18. However, at this time, we feel it is a great positive movement in the right direction. I've also attached to my testimony the written testimony of Sarah Carmody, a young lady on the autism spectrum, and also Kalamazoo Rick's Public Policy Chair, whom Senator Shoemaker has also had the pleasure to meet earlier this month. She wanted to make it and testify today, however, she could not as she had class today. I hope that you take a few minutes to read through her thoughts on this matter as well before you make your decision on these bills. Thank you for this time in this matter.
Zachary, we thank you very much. We're running late on time, but we thank you for being here and for waiting. And we'll take those words that you gave us into consideration.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Robertson.